What's the one thing that rich people buy that the poor and middle class don't? The rich people, they have these nice watches, and they drive the Lamborghini, the Ferrari, the Bentley. And that's what people see, rich people, that's what they have. But that's not actually what got them there, right? So what did they actually buy? Rich people, one thing that they buy is they buy assets that the poor and the middle class don't. Now, what are assets? I'm talking about income producing assets. Assets that appreciate, assets that would make that money. So example, it could be a real piece of real estate. It could be an apartment building. It could be a company. It could be stock. Any assets, investments that would put money in their pocket versus poor and middle class, what do they buy? They buy liabilities. If you study a little bit about Robert Kiyosaki's The Rich Dad Poor Dad, you know that the definition of assets is it's assets, it's things that put money in your pocket. And most middle class, they buy liabilities such as their home, their primary residence that they think is asset, which is not, because assets are supposed to make you money while you sleep, versus liabilities is to eat you. It takes away money from you while you sleep. And you look at poor and middle class, you look at their financial statements, very often they have very little or no assets, zero assets, and they have a lot of liabilities, their home, their car, and all that stuff, but they have very little assets. So rich people, we buy assets first, then the assets buys our luxuries, versus the other way around. I'll give you a perfect example. So instead of asking yourself that, saying to yourself, I can't afford that, it's too expensive. Rich people, that's not how we think. That's a very low level poor person mentality. I can't afford it, right? Rich people, we ask the question, not only how can I afford it, but how can I make this make me money? How can I make this make me money? So instead of thinking, so let's say for this car, so I could have just buy this Bentley anytime, but I waited for a period of time because I set a goal and say, okay, instead of just buying a liability, I need to buy the asset first. So I need to buy an asset that would throw off enough cash flow, in my case, a real piece of real estate, enough cash flow that I know that would cover my monthly payment of my Bentley, right? So instead of me just buying a Bentley, which then I have to pay from myself, from my own pocket, I say, okay, let me go through a step. Let me buy the asset, the one thing, buy the asset first. When the asset throws enough cash flow, that pays for my luxuries, that pays for this particular car that we're filming in. So even though when this car, I might change 2-3 years, when I no longer drive it, when I sell it, whatever it is, guess what? I still have the asset that's working for me. That's the difference. Rich people, we buy nice things. We buy the nicest things. The difference is we don't want to use our own money. We buy the assets first, we invest first, we buy the investments first, then we buy liabilities.